Greetings, viewers, and welcome to the kitchen. I am your host, Rolling Pin, and today I'm going to tell the story about my experience back on Tuesday when Forsaken Destiny launched. I did a 24-hour stream of Destiny where I just played Destiny for a straight 24 hours, and this video is basically to give the vibe of what I all did and how I felt about it. This will be completely spoiler-free, hence the background gameplay is going to be my Gambit beta experience. While I go through this video as well, I'll be trying to break down everything in just a very general sense, nothing too in-depth, just basically my opinion on it and how I liked it, and in the end, if it was all worthwhile in the end or not. Spoiler warning, it was very worthwhile. Okay, so we're just going to start right off. Forsaken released, I played with Simply Mary, another streamer, and we went through the campaign. And so I'm going to quickly just break down the fact that I think the campaign was in 3 different parts, distinct parts. The beginning, which introduced you, the middle part, which was kind of this grind, and then the end part, which is this crazy whole finish thing that I want to get into. Well, kind of 4 parts in a way, but we'll get into that when it happens. So the beginning, Cade calls you because there's a prison riot thing, and you are here to help Cade with the prison riot. Me and Mary, when we went in, this is a kind of a weird part of the campaign, I would say, because you never return to the prison in the main campaign. There are other parts where you return to the prison, like a strike and so. But the prison is kind of its own thing. It's just this one mission, really, that you ever play in the campaign of the prison. It's cool. It's definitely a really cool experience. There's some funny dialogue. There's some cool scenery and fights, and how you're taking everything on. Really cool vibes. And that's kind of how the entire beginning of the campaign goes on. You know, you go through the next bit of the story, and you have to go to the Forsaken Shores, you have to go to the tower and talk to some people. It gets you into the vibe of just like, this is some serious shit, basically. You know, it gets you into the vibe that you're going to go into the scrapper realm where a bunch of things are currently going wrong, and you have to like fix all this stuff, and everything is in really dire circumstances kind of vibe. I think it's pretty well. It was a pretty good introduction. Nothing really wrong with that. After you meet a few characters, a few specific story characters, and they tell you what they want you to do, they give you a small hint to what the grind's going to be like. They teach you what kind of bounties are about, which is weird because bounties have already been in the game for a while. They do it nonetheless. You get into this little bounty thing. You have to do the character the Spider's bounty. I won't go too much into the Spider. Once again, spoilers. I don't want to go into them. But you do his bounties so he can trust you, and then you continue on, do some missions, and then you finish the Act 1. You know, you did all these beginner missions that teach you everything that's going on, so you're ready for the campaign. It introduces everything. This is when you start getting into some serious stuff about the campaign that actually matters, and the overall war going on between you and Uldron, the guy who killed Cade. Act 2, I would say, is actually kind of tedious and a bit too grindy for a campaign. The campaign experiences are usually supposed to be, you just head through the story, but I ended up having kind of a few problems with it. One, starting at around 400 light is when you start the campaign. If you didn't do any of 400 light events, then I guess you're starting at around 395, or if you never end up getting to max light level, then there's a own thing. If you start a character boost, there's a whole bunch of different circumstances, but basically it wants you to do a bunch of adventures. That's the entire second act of the campaign, is it wants you to do all the adventures of the map, because all the adventures are different bosses who are currently leading this raid. They're leading this raid against the Forsaken Shore, and then all the adventures have different light levels. And so you got to go through and finish them all kind of in order. There's adventures from 400 light to 440 light, and you will want to be 450 basically by the end of the second act as well. Otherwise, you're just going to be too low light, won't be able to do damage. It'll be more difficult than it has to be. This part was really weird. First of all, the first problem I had was they're making you do adventures. Adventures are meant to be kind of a post-campaign event. You know, once you beat the campaign, here's a few extra stories. But the way the campaign does it is you do all the adventures mid-campaign, and so there are no adventures when the campaign is over. There's no extra stories or fun little tales or little adventures to do. They're all done. You did them all during the campaign. To be honest, I wasn't too much a fan about that. I like the adventures. I like hearing the extra stories, and they just simply didn't exist this time. They were part of the campaign for seemingly no reason. Also, you don't get enough light during the adventures, so you need to take pauses and just do public events for a little bit. You know, do like 4 or 5 public events in a row, say, oh, now I'm high enough light to do the next one. That was also really weird in my opinion. You end up just going through these long grinds, and you're not allowed to go to another planet. You aren't allowed to go to EDZ if that's your favorite one. That's a lot of people's favorite open world grinds. You're not allowed to go to these places because they don't drop above 400 rare gear. You have to be in Forsaken, and the reason that's a problem is because you can't do Forsaken's Lost Sectors. They are 500 light level. You can't hurt anything in there. So all you can do is do public events, which do spawn at a good rate. Some worlds, they have rarely spawning public events, but it does have a fair rate of public event spawn and a surprising rate of high priority spawn. Very often there's a high priority somewhere around your vicinity that you can go and kill and get loot from. So I appreciate that. I do like a high rate of high priorities. But still, you could gain light faster in any other place than Forsaken, but you have to do it in Forsaken Shores. So there are times when you're just standing there, looking at a flag, killing random enemies, hoping that maybe one of them will drop some rare gear. And you're doing that between a lot of adventures. So it's kind of this do an adventure, grind, do an adventure, grind, do an adventure, grind until you're 450 and you're allowed to continue the campaign. So I didn't really like that. The adventures themselves were pretty cool. The boss fights were fun, and this is the thing about all boss fights in the campaign is that the boss fights were fun. A lot of the boss fights were great. Some were just regular boss fights, but none were bad. None were frustrating or way too hard to fight. They were either really fun and innovative with a decent amount of challenge, or they were just some kind of throwaway boss fight. But a different part of the adventure or strike, whatever you're doing, was fun. So I definitely appreciated that for sure. But we'll continue on from there. So once you finish Act 2, you get into Act 3 of the campaign, which is where you get back into the cutscenes and missions. You're not grinding anymore. And this part was also done really well. I think it was the best part of the campaign was the ending, where things just go crazy. The things that happen are insane. You get to go into the Dreaming City, and the Dreaming City, for those who don't know, is the second open world. 2 open worlds have come with this expansion. And the whole idea is that it's this grand palace, super beautiful palace, beautiful design. I would say it kind of gives me the vibe of a medieval fantasy elven palace, This really rich palace vibes, really mystical. However, it got stuck in this weird rift between dimensions, and so it's constantly shifting between this nightmarish Taken dimension where everything is kind of in horror mode almost, and then back to regular, where it's just elvish ruins is what it looks like. That just is palace ruins, and it's really, really cool, really pretty, and also really horrifying at the same time. There was one specific moment when you're making your way towards some witches who you don't know what they are. They look really weird, and then they turn around to look at you. But before they fully turn around, you're now in the Taken dimension. It was a really cool moment. They really get the vibes right. It really feels like a perfect mix of beauty and horror, and I really love it. But you go through this second open area. You get a slight glimpse of it as you finish the last of the campaign, and the last campaign is crazy, both story-wise, visual-wise. Everything is just crazy. It's a great finish to a campaign. You get revenge for the death of Cade, which is great, and so that's the third campaign. And then that's the third act of the campaign. There's a little pause here where you basically end the campaign. You get 2 powerfuls. One from Petrovenge in the shore, and one from Ikora. You get a specific piece of gear to commemorate Cade and who he was at the tower. But then kind of a fourth act starts. I kind of like to call it a whole new campaign, really. It's basically a mini campaign to advertise the raid. You have to get into the Dreaming City. You have to contact somebody who I won't mention for spoiler. You have to contact someone to this difficult thing with Petrovenge, and you basically get ready for the raid. And I'm guessing that due to the story, there'll also be a little bit of post-raid campaign that'll go on. It's really cool. The Dreaming City itself, the open world, is really awesome, really fun. Apparently, every week it's going to change. It's going to become more and more corrupted with Taken until it's just completely the horrifying Taken realm, which I'm really excited about. So that's the campaign. That is the campaign. That is everything that you do, and now it's on to endgame content. They introduce a thing called wanted bounties. Every single planet has you might have seen them if you've been playing. There's these wanted characters. They're characters with a wanted title, and they have a lot of health, and they can be in strikes. They can be random high priorities. They can be at the end of Lost Sectors. And so you have a chance for an NPC to go buy these wanted bounties. They don't give you really any good rewards, but he does have one exotic one that gives you a powerful, and that one's really challenging as well because it's a bit higher light than you can get right now, which is really cool. Other endgame stuff is just your basic stuff. Gambit Gambit is actually, in my opinion, funner right now, but I think it's because of two different reasons. If you watch my stream when I played Gambit Beta, it was full of tryhards, and invaders have way too much of an advantage that basically invaders, and as long as an invader is using broken strategies, like coming in with a super or coming with exotic weapons, they will get all 4 kills. It's not that hard, in my opinion, to get all 4 kills if you're trying hard, if you're using a bunch of broken strategies. But Gambit was actually funner at the beginning of this. I think it's going to go back to try hard eventually, but the reason it's funner is, one, there's a lot more people new playing it who are just playing with random rare gear. They don't know the strategies or anything like that, as well as there is an exotic quest for Cade's hand cannon. After you finally get it, you need to do a bunch of hand cannon kills so that the gunsmith who is fixing up the ace of spades, Cade's exotic hand cannon, he needs a bunch of like data on it, so you have to use it in Gambit. You have to use hand cannons in Gambit. So a lot of people are using hand cannons, which aren't the best weapon for against invaders, as well as a bunch of new people who don't know what to do, and people who have rare gear and don't have the loadout they want yet. So I think it will go eventually back to a kind of broken mess that I experienced the beta to be. But Gambit was fun. It felt like everyone just kind of was doing whatever they wanted, and everyone was just having fun, and so Gambit felt funner for it. I definitely enjoyed Gambit for these first 24 hours, even though I think I might not in the future. So yeah, Gambit was good. The new strikes are fun. There's a strike that's an homage to the Prison of Elders from D1. I didn't play D1, so I don't know how accurate it is. To be honest, it felt like kind of a strike that took too long to finish compared to other strikes. We got the PlayStation exclusive content. We got the Borealis sniper that Simply Mary managed to get to drop. We also got their exclusive strikes and things like that, so that was awesome. I'm happy to get that stuff. I'm glad that that's not kept away from us forever, so that we just see other players who are playing on PlayStation have it, and we're just like, oh, we'll never get to experience this. Now we will every year. The PlayStation will get new stuff every year, and then we'll get it every year. Like we'll get it 1 year later. Basically, is how it works, and so that's fun. I really appreciate that one. So the end game. One thing I want to say about Endgame as well is that through the entire 24 hours that I played, I never ran out of things to do with my hunter. Yes, I did go back and do some like non-Forsaken things, but nonetheless, the Endgame and campaign were long enough that I was able to play 24 hours straight without being like, well, I guess I'm done for the, like, no, that never happened. And that was only on my hunter as well, so I still have my Warlock and my Titan to do things on, so that was really cool. So just the base DLC is going to give you a lot of hours, not including the Endgame you'll be able to grind afterwards. Other things that they're focused on, there are your pursuit. In your inventory, you gain a lot more pursuits now. You'll be constantly filled with things and consumables and pursuits. So much stuff you keep gaining, and so that really keeps you grinding. It really keeps you working on things as well. So that's good. There's going to be stuff to do for so long. They really did make a good effort toward Endgame, in my opinion. This is a really good effort. I really enjoy this. Let's talk about collections. Let's talk about collections and what they're used for. I really love it. Things in the collections to regain them, as well as just to see what's available for hype's sake. And like, I want this ghost so badly. Those kind of things. Things are cheap. I didn't find anything was too expensive to bring into the real world. You can kind of just bring them in willy-nilly. They don't cost that much. And so that was nice. What the main cost when it comes to getting something for collections will be infusing it. But other than that, it was a good time. Nothing was too horrible. I definitely enjoyed the collection system. We got a Triumph system where we can collect lore. Triumphs, though I was kind of excited about them, I am no longer. Triumphs was kind of a disappointment, in my opinion. It seemed useless. There is this cool fact of finding lore around the worlds. All planets now have hidden lore. You have to go and you have to scan, and it'll add that lore to your Triumphs. And so that's cool, but everything else starts going downhill from there. Like, once you collect a piece of lore, you have to go into your Triumphs, go into the specific tab that it's in, and then click on the lore you just found to, like, accept it as you found it for some reason. I don't know why this process doesn't automatically happen the moment you scan it, but you have to go in, find where you put that lore, and then click on it. There are titles you can earn, which I was excited about, but it turns out there are only like 6, and they're only for new things. There's no titles you can earn for doing like year 1 Destiny stuff. It's all year 2 Destiny stuff that you can get titles for, and there's only 6 of them, and they're going to take a long time to get. So it's not really something you're going to fight for right now. It's something you're going to fight for in the long term, and there's not even that many to choose from. So it's kind of disappointing in my opinion. I didn't really care for the Triumphs after I learned what they was all about. It's simply just there's a fuck ton of stuff that you can fill out, and that's about it. So that's whatever. If that's something that you think is cool, then go ahead for it. I think collecting lore is cool, but actually using the Triumph system I thought was disappointing. And with that, I can't really think of anything else more to say. We talked campaign, we talked endgame and how it kept me playing. But yeah, that was my general spoiler-free breakdown of Forsaken. The campaign might have had a little bit of a grindy, tedious section in the middle, but overall, I did enjoy the campaign. Most boss fights from new content, as well as the PlayStation exclusive Strike, were great. I loved most all the bosses, so there's some great enemy design in there. The collection system is a great introduction, especially for shaders. There's just great stuff all around, and I was able to play 24 hours without being like, I have nothing to do anymore. It's like, no, I was able to play 24 straight hours, and I'll be able to do this almost weekly. Not to that extent, obviously, because I won't be able to play. I won't be playing the campaign every week, but just that's the experience that I got. I was really happy about it. So I would say that Destiny 2 Forsaken is definitely worth the purchase, especially if you haven't bought Destiny yet, and you're going to buy one of those big expansions. Getting every single campaign along with Destiny 2 Forsaken, I think is definitely worth your money if you are into grindy and shooter kind of games, because that's what Destiny offers. I would say it's worth its time. I will be putting out a video later on with spoilers where I basically give a summary of my 24 hours as quick as I can. It was a 24-hour stream, obviously, but I'll be trying just to go through and talk about everything that went down, everything that I did, just everything that happened. So feel free to tune into that video when it comes out. And that's about it, guys, for this episode of The Kitchen. I've been your host, Rolling Pin, and thank you all for watching. If you want to see more content like this, I will be putting out another video where I break down my stream and talk about everything that I did as quick as I can. Obviously, 24-hour stream. I can't make a 24-hour long video. So as fast as I can, I'll talk about everything that I did. There'll be spoilers and there'll be breakdowns in there, as well as the future videos I'll be making. For future videos I'll be making, I want to touch down on Doom and what Doom was, as well as Doom Eternal when that comes out. I want to touch down on Anthem. There's a bunch of games I want to touch down on, and so the kind of content you can experience from me will be both hype for upcoming games, as well as games I'm currently playing and how I'm feeling about them. This is just supposed to be kind of the story of what's going on and how I feel about it. So if you enjoy this video, feel free to like it and subscribe if you want to see future videos and see what I be making. If you want to be part of this community and you want to be a part of the videos that you see, the videos that you just watch, if you want to be part of their making, then you should feel free to join my stream at twitch.tv/the_rollingpin. That's where I make all the footage for my videos, as well as hang out with my viewers, from my YouTube viewers to my natural Twitch viewers, and people come over from my friends and partner streams. That is where I get a lot of interaction down. So feel free to come over there and help me make YouTube content, be part of the YouTube video in a way, and we can just enjoy our time together. But with all that news out of the way, this has been another episode of The Kitchen, and I have been your host, Rolling Pin. I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for sticking around and watching this one. See you later, guys.